listener production.
Hi, Natarsha Belling with you and welcome to the afternoon edition of The Briefing. Coming up in our deep dive, the phone call that changed everything for Special Olympics champion James Summerhayes. Hear about James's extraordinary journey from years of hospital stays and setbacks to standing on the podium representing Australia. His story will inspire you, and he also has some great life advice we could all benefit from. We'll have that interview in just a moment. But first, let's check the afternoon headlines this Friday, the 20th of February. Andrew Mountbatten Windsor, formerly known as Prince Andrew, has been released from police custody after he was arrested on suspicion of misconduct in public office. The brother of King Charles was arrested by UK police at his home on his 66th birthday late last night, our time. He was released after almost 10 hours in custody, with authorities confirming the former prince remains under investigation. A number of properties linked to Andrew have also been searched by police. The arrest comes just weeks after more damning allegations in the latest Epstein files, including claims Mr Mountbatten Windsor had passed on confidential documents and information to Jeffrey Epstein during his time as a trade envoy. Virginia Giuffre, who died in Perth last year, had for many years alleged she was sexually abused by Andrew. Allegations the former prince has always denied. Virginia's brother telling the BBC today he celebrated Andrew's arrest overnight on suspicion of misconduct in public office over his links to Epstein.
Moving forward, we don't know, but we're hopeful. I think we're very hopeful that this is the start of the domino effect. This is where the house of cards starts falling. And, kudos to the UK for taking the first step, for saying, you know what, we are going to arrest somebody who is held to one of the highest esteems out there, somebody who was a former prince. I mean, this hasn't been done before. And so to know what we should expect, it's really naive to say that we do, but we won't stop. I mean, Virginia said it so clearly in her statements, and I'll say it again here today, we won't stop until justice is served.
In other news, 4 teenagers have been arrested for a number of violent incidents allegedly targeting the son of former NRL star Matt Utai. Utai was shot several times outside his home earlier this week, and 2 separate residents linked to his son were also firebombed and peppered with bullets. Raptor Squad detectives executed a number of search warrants across Sydney yesterday and arrested the teenagers, as well as seized vehicles, drugs and knuckle dusters. The 4 men, aged between 16 and 19, are facing a number of charges, including shooting with intent to murder, firebombing and drug supply. There is no suggestion Matt Utai nor his family currently in Sydney have any criminal links. And actor Eric Dane, star of Grey's Anatomy and Euphoria, has passed away at the age of 53. Less than 12 months ago, Eric announced that he'd been diagnosed with ALS, a common form of motor neuron disease. His family released a statement saying, quote, he spent his final days surrounded by dear friends, his devoted wife and his 2 beautiful daughters, Billy and Georgia, who were the centre of his world. Throughout his journey with ALS, Eric became a passionate advocate for awareness and research, determined to make a difference for others facing the same fight. He will be deeply missed and lovingly remembered always. Now it's time to get into our deep dive. After a very heavy few weeks in news, we wanted to share with you the inspirational story of James Summerhayes. James lives with a mild intellectual disability and has spent many months in hospital battling serious health issues. But James's love of sport and connecting with others has seen him soar to extraordinary heights. He's represented Australia at the Special Olympics, is a die-hard NRL fan with expert analysis, and has some important life advice for all of us. James, I feel very honoured to be speaking with you here today.
Well, thank you very much.
Well, I'm speaking with an Olympic champion. Is this correct?
Well, yes. No, look, it was an incredible experience last year and loved every second of it.
So, Special Olympics.
Yep.
You are a dual silver medalist.
Yes.
Let's go back to the beginning about where your love of sport came from.
Yeah, that's a very good question. So my love of sport came from a very early age. probably like 8, 9 years old, and I started watching on Channel 9, absolutely loved it. And I kind of just got obsessed like ever since. Now, it's an important thing to think about when you think about what pathways you want to take. My parents definitely had a pathway of thinking, so what are we going to do about this guy when he graduates from high school, We need to find a pathway to get him, any sort of pathway that's good for him once he graduates from high school. Now, it was very clear in the family and some of my very close friends, but more so in the family, we need to get this guy into a sporting. Everybody knew I was obsessed with sport. It was a no-brainer, absolute no-brainer. We need to find a sporting organisation that would be perfect for myself. And when we found just Special Olympics, we just jumped at it. And when I think about the experience I've had since 2012, it's completely mind-blowing to think about the journey I've had still. I'm still playing to this point, but still, when I think about back in 2013 when I did my first rep carnival with basketball, it's been quite the journey. It really has, and I've loved every single bit.
So, James, take us through. You compete in 2 sports for the Special Olympics, being skiing, correct, and basketball.
That's correct, yeah.
Tell us how you felt when you got the call up to represent your country.
Yeah, that's a very good question. So we had the National Games in July in Mountbatten in Victoria. Now, because of the time frame and what was happening and how close it was from the Nationals to March, which is when the World Games were on, they were going to select the team within days of when the competition concluded in Mountbatten. Now, I came fourth from my division. I was very happy with that effort.
Mm-hmm.
They were only going to select the top 2 people from each division to go through to the Olympics. Now, you're thinking to yourself, so how did this all happen? Like, how did he just get the call up? We're going to have fast track. And so they had their training camp. So they actually met as a team in Perisher in early September. The whole team met in Perisher. They actually had a full training camp, which was very good for them because it was good for the coaches to sort of have a training camp just before the winter season here in Australia was going to end. We fast-tracked to the end of September, and I'm just, it's just a regular Friday, I'm heading to work, as you do, at my old job, right? And then I get a call from Special Olympics head office. I'm like, hey guys, how you going? Can you please check your emails for me? I can. But why don't you just tell me straight? Why are you telling me that I have to go straight to the emails? Why can't you just tell me straight up what's going on?
Exactly. I don't want to look at my emails. Just tell me in real life.
Yeah, exactly. I was like, okay, all right. You want me to check my emails? I will. So I checked the emails, and I was gobsmacked. The offer letter was there. I was like to Ethan, who was on the phone with me at the time. Ethan, mate, let me just ask a quick question here. So the team got named in like August. They've had a training camp. That the entire Australian team actually had a training camp in Perisher at the beginning of this month. This was in late September when I got called up. What's happened? So someone on the team, originally on the team, had actually been dropped from the team in general or had been pulled out of the competition.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what I'm going to say is that you've got to take the opportunities in life when you get them.
Oh, James.
When you get them in life, it doesn't matter when you get them, but you've got to take the opportunities when you get them. So I just took it and ran with it, And now, look, I trained and worked so hard myself and with my PT as well, but we trained and worked so hard over the months from from very late September to pretty much the very beginning of March. No, look, I trained house down, especially during the Christmas holiday break of 24 to 25 when everybody had their 2 weeks off. I didn't really take much days off that Christmas. I was really determined to put myself into the right condition, you could say, so I could be ready for what was lying ahead. And but it was an incredible experience, and I wouldn't change a thing.
So, James, for you, when you stood up on that podium representing your country and you won 2 silver medals, what was that feeling like?
I don't think there's any better feeling than that.
Representing Special Olympics Australia, James Summerhayes.
I actually came into that thinking it's not about the medals for me, it's about meeting athletes all over the world and trying to ski my best for my country. The success, the medals I did get, that wasn't high on my list of priorities, you know. I was more focused on just bonding with the Australian team and bonding with athletes over the world when I saw them on the mountains. To get the medals that I got, that was just a bonus to me.
And James, for you, you've had a lot of health battles over your life.
Yes.
A lot of hospital stays, a lot of surgeries.
Yeah.
What would you go back and tell your 5 or 6-year-old self when you know what you have achieved today?
Yeah, it's a very good question because I have spent a lot of time in hospital over the years, and I guess things can happen in life that can change your life sometimes, you know, and you just got to take the opportunities when you get them. You really do, you know, and so I just took my opportunity when I got the call up and I just ran with it. I worked hard, I trained hard over the months after work, you know, with my PT and personally by myself as well and with family as well. I know my little sister was a big help at the beginning, just training me up and stuff like that. But like in general, like I put in hours and hours of effort, especially during the summer, to make myself fully prepared and ready for what lay ahead, and it all paid off. It really did.
It certainly did. Now, James, I'm going to switch pace here, switch stories a bit. As I'm in the presence of greatness, you are an Olympic champion.
Yeah.
Tell us about, at the end of this week, we're seeing the Winter Olympics conclude in Italy.
Of course.
Now, you're all across it.
Yeah.
How it is our best Winter Games ever.
Yeah, it's such an incredible feeling. It really is. Just prior to, I think it was, let me think about it, from Friday last week to Sunday, we won 3 gold medals. 3 gold medals in 3 different events. But I've been loving it. It's been really good. And I'm definitely getting very excited about the Paralympics, which starts in early March, I think. But now, look, to think about where we're at right now, the actual Olympics that's happening at this present moment, like, I'm getting pretty obsessed with it, I must say. Yeah, no, it's very, no, look, it's a very feeling just to watch, you know, for sure. And to think about, I had my own sort of thing of that the year before as well, you know. But no, look, it was, I'm loving watching it, absolutely.
And you are a massive, not only supporter of the Olympics and a great passionate watcher, but also you love NRL. Who's your team?
Yeah, so my team is the Senior Roosters.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. That's okay, that's all right. Now, look, well, what I would say is that the NRL in general is the first thing that drove me to my love of sport. It really is. From a very young age, a very, very young age, I just got hooked with rugby league in general. And it just grew over the years. I'm now a Roosters season member, so I go to most of their home games, which is great. It's a lot of fun. It really is. And stuff like that. But now, look, what I would say is that I'm very excited about next week when the season starts. But now, look, rugby league in general, rugby league was definitely the starting point to my sort of addiction to sport in general. It really was.
And in regards to your addiction to sport, can you explain this passion that you have for sport? Sport can actually change lives.
Well, yeah, you are so on point. That's very true, because it really can. It really can, you know, and that's the exciting part of it. It's definitely been a big like resource to my life in general, and because I go to a lot of sport. I go out to the Olympic Stadium for like major sports events regularly, like very, very regularly for different sports in general, but especially for a lot of like NRL events, whether it's for State of Origin or Grand Final Day. Like, I'm always there. But now look, but sport in general has been a massive part of my life. It always has been. Absolutely.
And James, final question for you. You are such an inspiration. You have achieved Such incredible things throughout your amazing life. It's down to dedication, hard work and your passion.
Yeah.
What would your piece of life advice be?
Piece of life advice would be having people with disabilities is feeling included and accepted in the community. It doesn't have to be in sport, but whatever category of life that they might be interested in. It might be music, drama, whatever, like cooking, whatever. If someone with disabilities got a passion, per se, make them included. I'm very big on inclusion. I really am, to make everybody with disabilities in general feel included into whatever pathway they like, you know. That's the most important thing.
James, you have made my day. Thank you so much for speaking with us. We really appreciate it.
Well, thank you so much for having me. Been a pleasure. Thank you.
That was Special Olympics champion James Summerhayes. And that's it for this episode of the afternoon edition of The Briefing. We'll be back tomorrow with the weekend briefing, and Sasha Barbagat is joined by Emily Maitlis, the journalist behind that infamous Prince Andrew interview for the BBC in 2019.
I think the story that we're getting now is so much bigger than one man, one prince, or even one victim. And, you know, Virginia Roberts would be the first person to say this. The whole point of her standing up when she did, the whole point of her going public so kind of rawly and brutally was to say, I need other women to feel that they can speak out. And actually, the fact that we have come to a place now where there are 3 million documents that all of us are spending, you know, God knows how many countless hours and nights sort of trying to understand and trying to fit together. And this will be probably my work for the next 18 months, you know, one shape or other.
We'd love you to subscribe or follow us on Instagram at The Briefing Podcast. I'm Natarsha Belling. See you next time.